Susan. Cheryl, you need to unmute. Susan, you too. Unmute.
Sorry, had a phone call going.
Oh, okay.
Couple of things going on today.
Yep.
You
I
know
don't
how
see-
that goes.
Cheryl, I don't see you. Yes, Cheryl. Judy Morgan, turn on your video. Oh, there you go. All right. You can all unmute yourselves if you are muted. Cheryl and Judy, you're muted.
Okay.
Waiting for a couple of others.
Hey,
Here.
Cooper, what are you doing? Don't make a mess.
Talking to your cat?
Yes, he's getting into bags that I have on the bed. I'm sorting
Oh.
through stuff. He loves bags and boxes.
Lynette, put on your video, please. Turn on your video and your audio. There you are. Hi. Okay, let's see. Is there anyone else coming?
Nancy?
Nancy, yeah. She tends to check in a little bit late. Lynette, you can unmute yourself.
Okay. Done.
All right, we'll give it a couple of minutes. Cheryl, did Sally tell you the recent cat story before she left? My friend Sally
No.
has two cats, okay? And they're indoor cats.
Yeah.
And one of them's a boy, his name is Tucker, and he's full of the devil. And Nellie is a girl, and she's fat and hides all the time. But she's not a mischief maker. So Sally was packing or something, and she could hear Tucker meowing, and she couldn't find him anywhere. And she looked in her closet, and Nellie was sitting on top of her clothes hamper. And she realized that Tucker was in it.
Inside it.
He was inside the hamper, and she's
Uh-huh.
fat and heavy, and he couldn't get out.
That's funny.
that's a good cat story.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
All right, well,
geez.
I don't know whether Nancy's gonna chime in or not.
I think she is. I was talking to her 20 minutes ago.
Well, she must be making herself beautiful or something.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Lynette, are you all over COVID, Lynette?
Oh, come long ago and far away.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good, wonderful.
Just my normal asthmatic coughing,
Oh, geez.
15 years worth of it. And it just, the allergist can't figure it out.
Wow.
Here she is. Okay, we're gonna be ready now. Come on, Nancy. There's Nancy. Good job. Hi, Nancy. You have no audio. Unmute. There you are. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Well, this all started out, guys, because two of my garden club members are entering this class and they have no experience in period design. Well, Lynette got a touch of it.
Well, not really.
Well, yeah, she did the beautiful designs at the showcase, in the Victorian wedding designs. That said, Lynette, a lot of what you're going to hear me say today is going to be a little bit in conflict to what we did there, because we were going for the authentic there, okay? This is a different story. I have a slideshow that's going to kind of run this for you. First of all, I grew up with period design from day one. I studied under Claire Richards, and she's so knowledgeable about so many things, but period design was her highlight, and I fell in love with it from the beginning. And I think I've done just about every period in competition in the course of my career in flower arranging. And then finally one day I said, Doris, it's time for you to stretch a little bit more. So stretched off into other things. So that was quite some time ago. And I love it all, but my first love is period arranging. And one of the things, the most important things you need to know, I'm going to bring up the slideshow now. I'm going to share the screen here. Here we go. You see this?
Yep,
You should be able to see it.
We
I
It's
see it.
I see it.
It's a little small, but
Well, you have to make it bigger on your screen.
I do.
Yep. Enlarge your screen.
Oh, there.
Okay. In reality, I have, hold on. I did a special exhibit at a flower show a few years back on how to enter an award-winning period design. And this is the board here that I just took a picture of.
Oh, okay.
For these purposes. I'm going to send you all this slideshow afterwards.
Oh, okay,
So
good.
you'll have it for your record, okay? But the most important thing that you want to remember is this. You do not try to do an authentic period design, a period authentic to, I mean, a design authentic to that period. You'll get killed because if you did that, you would not be following the principles of design by which you will be judged.
Okay.
So keep that in mind. The judges are going to be using the principles of design to judge your design. So your job is to be influenced by the period and show the characteristics of the period in the design you do, but do not attempt to do it authentically. That's very, very important. So that's why I wanted to start with the principles of design to really drive that home to you, is that that's how you're going to be judged. And then here we go back to the steps that I recommend to you when you're going to be entering this kind of a class. Where is it going to be staged? Just like any other design. Know your background or know what the size of your pedestal is and proportion, that's one of your principles of design, proportion your design to that space. Just because it might not have been that size in authentic period, you got to do it. You got to get it. You got to proportion it. And you've got to choose a container. Now, I have a picture here for you of containers that would have a period feeling to them. They're not authentically a Victorian or authentically anything, but they have this feeling of old, of period to them. And you notice that they're plain, that they're not decorative. A lot of the Victorian containers, the real ones, are decorative. And if you're entering a Victorian design, you're going to be competing with the design that's on the container. So see if you can find an urn or make yourself something that is going to not be modern looking and not have a pattern on it. And that's going to hold a good hunk of oasis because you're going to have a lot of material in this design. So if you can see the opening in this urn here is nice and big. You can come up over the rim. You can get a good hunk of oasis in it. This is small. It's an adapter on a candlestick, and you're not going to get much oasis in that. If you try to get all the materials in that you're going to want to for this design, your oasis is going to fall apart and you're going to be in a mess. So make sure you have given yourself a good container. Now, one way to use this kind of candlestick, if that's what you would like to use for your container, is to not use an adapter, but instead get a metal bowl. Put some stickum on the bottom of it. You know, not a deep bowl, but you know, maybe something like this that would hold a good hunk of oasis. Sort of like an elongated cake dish size thing. And that would create a vessel for your oasis. And so you can create your own containers. Any question? When you have a question, just chime in, okay? So let's go back. Judy? Did you have a question?
Does urine have to be, can it be shiny or no, or?
I'm going to get to
it have
that.
to be- Okay,
Okay, but that's a good question. And okay. And here we go with the containers. Does it have the feeling of the era? Just the feeling. Will it hold enough oasis? Is it of an appropriate size for my frame of reference? Is it too shiny? Polished metals appear larger when a spotlight is on them. Avoid. Or don't polish it. Okay, I know it kills you not to polish your silver if you're going to use it in something, but it'll get you in more trouble. And it won't. And okay, what kind of plant material should I use? The ultimate reference is the handbook. Choose materials that capture the feeling of the era and avoid tropicals. Now I'm going to go right up to another slide here. Authentic flowers may not be available. You need to capture the spirit of the period using what you can get for flowers. Even though they may not be listed in some sort of a list of materials that were commonly used. The good thing for you guys this summer is you'll have a lot of garden material available to you, which would make it more authentically Victorian. So that's a good thing. It's if you have to go to the flower market, it gets a little harder to get things. One of the good things people like to use in Victorian designs is fuchsia. It's all over the place in the summertime, in the hanging baskets and things, that kind of thing. So you can look for that. Okay, let's go back here. What outline is indicative of the period I'm trying to depict? That's extremely important. Start with an outline appropriate for the period and stay with it in all your placements, okay? Now, I'm going to show you an example here. This is something I did some time back, and I can get the right one here. That's a Williamsburg design. You see the fan shape? Very distinctively Williamsburg. I'm going to show you, let's see, which one is this? That's a Victorian. See all the material in that?
Mm.
Save your pennies, girls, because you're going to spend some money for this design. Okay. The roundy kind of shape with some influences in there. That's a Victorian that I did also a long time ago. Susan?
Can you just, what makes these essentially Victorian?
Okay. Hang on a second, okay?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go back here to something I meant to bring up. You see this little old book?
Okay.
See
Yeah.
the date on it?
yeah,
Some of you
Yep.
not even have been born. So,
I don't know about that.
not quite.
okay, that's how long I have been studying period design, okay? 1978. The book is still available through National Council. It's by
Wow.
Francis Hene. You can go to the National Garden Club's website and look for books or wherever they had, look for the tab and you'll find it. The book itself is a little, here it is here, all battered, it's got coffee on it, it's a mess. It's pink now. This used to be a mint green, it's awful, but I love it. Now in this book, I'm not going to do all your homework for you, by the way, guys, you're going to do some yourself. And in other sources, okay, not just this book. Falling apart on me. Go into that.
Page 23, arrangement characteristics.
Well, in my book, it's page 21, Victorian flower arrangement. It's got a whole list of plant materials that were used then. It even
Oh.
flows over into the next page. No, it doesn't. All right, so there's a whole list of materials. If you don't want to buy the book, I can make a copy of this for you and send it to you. It's really a good investment. It's $5 and another $5 for shipping, which is ridiculous. But if any of you want to get together, you could order them all together and there'll be, the shipping would be a little bit less. That's your call.
Where do we find the book?
The National Garden Club's website. I think Nancy Costa already has one, right, Nancy? Or
Yes, I do. I
Yeah.
think the website is gardenclubs.org.
or
And you go
gardenclub
under
dot-
flowers
gardenclub.org,
shows.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, National Garden Clubs, you'll bring it up anyway. And there are other books there that are, is this still required for flower show school? Do you know? Anyone know?
It wasn't.
it's
Wasn't,
recommended to own a
Recommended,
copy of this.
Well, the rest of the United States wants to ignore period design, okay? And I think that's just an awful shame because they're beautiful designs. But there are, let me just grab my handbook. I am not a fan of this thing. One of the things I did, if I can find it here, where'd you go?
Page 17. Dolores.
That's not what I'm looking for, hang on. Did I get it up here? I got it added here, but it's not showing in my slideshow. What page did you say?
70.
70, okay. How much does it give you?
It gives you
pretty-
a paragraph.
Yeah, pretty good. Yep.
Pretty good.
Yep.
What I will send you are the pages that I copied from the handbook before this, which has a lot of information in it on materials. Doesn't tell you much about the materials to use, though, does it?
No.
No.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. It's horrible. But you can do a little research too, you know. This is to help you not make the big mistakes that a lot of people make. So let's look at a couple of other periods and see the different shapes that come up. This is a Dutch Flemish, very lush, multicolored, fruits and everything with the second kitchen sink in their designs. And it has kind of a fat triangle shape or not, a roundy kind of thing. But the characteristics of this period are often well, you should have abundant materials and variety of colors, no studied color schemes or anything like that. This is an all-white Victorian, which is allowed. It's kind of cheating though, because it's easier to do. That's the Williamsburg. All right, this in the book on arranging by style or design by style, whatever it's called, designing by types. This is what they put in as an example of a French design. I'm not crazy about using this as an example because even though yellow was one of the colors they used, I doubt very much you would have actually seen something as with this much chroma, like in these roses here, because the French designs were soft and pastel, and they would have maybe used these soft yellows, but I doubt very much that you would see this intensity of hue. So it's your call, but I would avoid, if you were doing a French design, I would avoid that intense color, and I would prefer that kind of French design, this is very French. You see the openness and the airiness and the analogous color scheme of soft pastels in French design. This is ultimate Victorian girls. Look at all that stuff.
Mm.
Is it wider than tall?
It can be, but it depends on your staging. And I'm not exactly sure what they're working on staging now for the show, Susan. and I know
Yes,
that.
that's true. Yep.
We were just talking about it earlier. This is an early American design, very unstudied, very casual materials. They may not have had these particular mums in that period, but they work in their casual appearance and nature. Gardenesse, nothing, you don't want it to look like you got your materials at the market. You want to look like you went out in the yard and picked things, wildflowers and stuff like that. This is another very Victorian one. This one does have a patterned container. One of the reasons it's not bothering me in this design is that it's not colored. The design isn't in color. It's gold and white, so it's not competing so much, especially since you have such abundance of materials in this Victorian design. Again, this little chrysanthemum here probably wouldn't have been available, that particular variety, in Victorian times, but it doesn't take away from the Victorian feeling. It's a good design. Okay. This is also Victorian. So there's not just one way to do it, but there's a feeling, there's the fuchsia in there that I mentioned. And these, flowing lines coming out of the abundant material would be appropriate. You saw that already. All right, the outline of your design, the importance of the outline. Again, let's go back and quickly look at the Victorian there and the Williamsburg there, and you see the outline. You've got to get that outline to get started. And to get an outline, those of you who have seen me do the stick trick there, you've got to get your, where is it? All right, this is an illustration from a book I have on setting up a frame, an outline for your design. I don't know where this is going, but she was making a triangle. This is not necessarily for a period design, but she was making a triangle. So she's got her triangle there. And she's going to keep working with that. Now, if she was going to try to make a Williamsburg design, she would have made this stem longer. And then she would have been able to get the fan shape. If you want it more roundy, you want to pull these out, pull these materials out so you're filling it in a little bit more. But you've got to get that shape. You've got to make it suggest in shape that it's appropriate for that period. All right, let me ask Lynette, does any of
Yes.
this make any sense to you?
It absolutely does.
It does, good, okay. Do you have any questions? What's going through your head right now?
Oh my God. Finding a container, first of all.
That was the right answer.
Okay. Okay.
I may have a couple of things I'm always happy to share, but it's kind of fun to hunt for one too. And you can, honestly, you can buy a plastic container, paint it, jazz it up. Don't worry about what it's made of. Worry about whether it looks right for the period.
Do we
It's
need to
fun.
know the staging before we buy the container, though?
Yes, you will, but it's not going to be small. It's probably
That's
going
for
to
sure.
not.
yeah.
It's probably going to be on a pedestal. And
Okay.
without a background, without a measured background, it could be perhaps against a curtain or in an arch or something like that. But it's going to be good size.
Okay.
Okay, it's not going to be little. And that's
When
one of
will-
the-
When will we get the schedule?
Susan. You want to answer that one?
So this class is the one that's, the staging is reflective of Dorothy Waterhouse's wall hangings.
Mhm.
And so each person will get one of her wall hangings.
Oh,
And you interpret it. So we're just trying to figure out how to do that. And you can go to waterhousewallhangings.com and you'll find out all about Dorothy Waterhouse's pretty wonderful story. She was actually from Cape Cod and got inspired by finding, floral wallpapers inside old sea captains' houses and chests and stuff like that. And her wall hangings are still a big deal all over the country. And they're wonderful. So what we have been talking about is having an actual, piece of wallpaper, 4 different pieces. So yes, it will very much impact, I think, people's color choices and etc. So Alda and Judy Sheehy were doing the staging. We're rearranging things a little bit, not a ton from this previous schedule. We're rearranging it to make it a little more open and COVID friendly. And having gotten rid of the horticulture division, there isn't going to be any hort. It's going to be a design specialty show. Means that we have a lot more space and we can really showcase, especially a design like this. So we're really close to finalizing all that. I'd say within the next 2 weeks, we should be able to get the revised schedule to everybody. Does that
Okay.
help?
yes, thank you.
What's the
Okay.
date of the study group meeting?
March 11th.
11th. Will you have it by then?
Yes. Yeah.
I won't be at that meeting, but
I'll make sure that everybody who's, signed up gets a copy.
so
of
I'm looking at the wall. I'm on the site now on the wall hangings. So
Yeah.
when we get a wall hanging like that with the color,
Yep.
do we reflect the color or how do we?
It's just
I
like
think
anything else. Are you going to give them
ahead,
each a different one, Susan?
What's that, hon?
You're giving each of them a different one?
Everyone will get a different one. Yes. And be sure you go all the way through because I just went through that whole site again this morning. She's got some that are really beautiful, that are very floral. And then
Mhm.
there's other ones that are very, sort of not Victorian looking, but we're thinking we're going to choose ones that have a real Victorian feel to them, but are different. The 4 are different. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess I just sort of, yeah, okay,
It would be just like interpreting a painting.
okay.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that what they choose will give you a lot of freedom.
Totally.
Yeah, because that's not fair to, to buttonhole you down too much. So there'll be, I haven't looked at her site yet, but I assume there are multiple colors in most of them.
There are,
Mhm.
yeah, tons of patterns. I mean, some are very, shepherds frolicking under bridges, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then some are very, abundant and floral. They're quite beautiful. They really are. And it's amazing how long they've endured. She actually lived right around the corner from us, which is
Wow.
Wow.
amazing in Centerville. It's amazing, but it's kind of a neat story.
Although the wallpaper will be your inspiration, judges are pretty lenient about interpretation. So you want to focus on the principles of design and the other things we've just talked about as well. And let the wallpaper guide you in your color choices and so forth, but don't be a slave to it. And that's true of any interpretive work. You're influenced by it. You're not duplicating it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's a good way to say it, Dolores.
Yeah. No, don't ever try to duplicate something. You'll end up with an artistic craft. Speaking of which, Nancy, are you there?
Am.
I don't know why I'm not getting you on my screen here.
You know what? I turned off my video. Now it's back on.
Okay.
I'm here.
Can you hear?
Okay, and this applies to you, Judy, as well, both of you. Susan and I were talking this morning about the collage, okay, because some questions came up from an exhibitor. And the way it's worded in the schedule right now is a little confusing. So we're going to adjust it to give the exhibitor complete freedom. And they will just have to have a 20 by 30 foam core board.
Okay,
They don't need to worry about anything else, okay? It's
Okay.
going to be displayed, the staging committee will take care of the staging of it. And they won't be affected by the staging. It'll be black or white or something. So all they have to do is get themselves a 20 by 30 foam core board, their choice of color, and they can do what they want to it. They can wallpaper it. They can do whatever they want. Not make it a collage, but anyway.
so it's not being supplied to them. They're gonna get their own
Get
board.
their own, yep. Well, this one exhibitor has had hers done for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Size
Ah.
board.
Kind of know who that is.
Yeah, we
Right.
all know.
I
No
bet
secrets
everybody
there.
can
Yeah.
guess.
But she did raise a good question about that. So I hope
Okay.
that doesn't make anything difficult for those who have signed up for it. But you please get in touch with them as soon as possible and tell them
Yeah,
just a 20 by 30 board, and they can do whatever they want within the parameters of the design style. All right. Oh, I wanted to just show you some of the other books that I've used over the years. And this is one that's put out by National Garden Clubs. It used to be called National Council of Garden Clubs. I'm going to get this. I'm going to stop screen sharing here. There we go. I'm going to put it on speaker view so we can see. Okay, here it is. Supposed to be on speaker view, guys. Come on.
Yep.
Why is not doing that?
Mm.
Got Judy Morgan on, and I'm the one who's talking. Whatever. Can you see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
show it again. The complete, oh, I'm in the screen. I got my
Guide
screen.
to flower and foliage arrangement. I don't even know if it's still available, but I'm showing you where my information has come from over the years.
Oh,
It's a handy book. It's nice. This is the one that National Council also produced a few years back. It's not particularly good on period design. I would go elsewhere for your information.
what was the first book you held up again?
The Complete Guide to Flower and Foliage Arrangement by
Okay.
Iris Webb. Amazon does carry some of these, and if they don't, then just do it in a general search, and some of the old book store, the old book sites will
Okay,
have it. This is a good one, and this one, Susan, you probably own. This is put out by the Garden Club of America.
I do. I love that book.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Fine
a
Art of
really good
Flower
one.
Arranging. It's got
Yeah.
some great stuff in it. There is one
Yeah.
design in here in the period part that I don't think is well done, and I just want to point that out to you in case you use this book.
Okay. It's one of my favorite books, though.
Yeah, me too. This is a Dutch Flemish design here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And what's wrong with it, guys?
Can't see it.
Nancy,
It's not lush enough.
how would
It's
you
too-
judge this? Principles of design.
can't see it.
It looks like it's got some real rhythm issues to me. I don't know.
Well, to me, all I can see is this thing sticking up here.
That was
Separated
the
from
bullseye.
the rest of the design, and that's not, that breaks the rhythm for one thing.
Yep.
And,
Yeah.
and it's not particularly Victorian looking.
It's weird. That is strange. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, Dutch Flemish, I mean. It's too rigid. everything else in the design is good, but this allium sticking up there, straight up there rigidly. I think a fritillaria was often used in these Dutch Flemish designs, but they're, they curve and hang and droop and everything. And I think she was trying to get something big up there, but it didn't work. And in my view, it ruined her design. Everything else about it is lovely. Let me see.
Well, like decorated.
Someone got a man in the house?
Yes.
That's okay. It's okay. Anyway, this is a dandy book. I enjoy it very much. And this is one I've had for a million years too. This is the complete flower arranger. I've had this since flower show school in the late 70s. Oh my God, so old. And it's just a handy reference. It's just none of them. They don't all say the exact same thing about anything. So you have to just remember those principles of design, outline, color. You've got quite a lot of freedom of color in the Victorian period, but not soft color. The Victorians were lush, they overdid everything. When you do
That's
French.
super helpful, Dolores.
Oh,
Thank you.
Dolores, could I read maybe the arrangement characteristics that comes out of the period flower arrangement pamphlet?
Which book are you talking about?
The pamphlet,
Oh, the
the
pamphlet.
outlines of period flower arrangement.
Sure, go ahead.
It says the Victorian is the most compact of all mass arrangements. Compact. Globular or circular in form. Color contrast rather than harmony. Opulent and somewhat heavy. Bold, rich colors. All white arrangements are very popular. Wider than height was usual.
Usual, but not always.
Arrangements masked so that individual beauty of flowers was lost. Numerous varieties of flowers. And then it goes on specifically if it was on a mantle, or we won't go there. Some of the greens and grasses, it looks like it's listed stiff striped grasses, comma, grains, comma, dusty miller, comma, ivy and ferns were used as edging for bouquets or vases. And then they list some of the favored colors: blush pink, sapphire blue, ochre yellow, lavender, violet, purple, magenta, mulberry, carmine, vermilion, claret red, emerald green, yellow chartreuse, Staffordshire pink, rose, deep blue, and brown. But that's interesting of the characteristic of the Victorian.
I have some notes from Claire here that I want to share with you. Think rich embroidery. Think that there was a lot of money going around in the Victorian era, and they were everything was overdone, and the more the merrier. The globular or circular sort of. The streaked tulips were very popular then. Now you're going to be in July, you're going to not find a lot of tulips around. The period lasted for 64 years from 1837 to 1901. It was the period of the nouveau riche, the gingerbread age. Little restraint was used. Living was comfortable if you were rich. And yeah, all of what Nancy just read to you was very important. I would still recommend that you invest in this little pamphlet. You won't regret it. I looked online for it, and it was cheaper to buy it through National Garden Clubs. But you may find a site that has it cheaper somewhere. I mean, it's just this little paper pamphlet. I'm so glad I put the date on it. Oh, oh my God. Were you out of high school yet? Any of you?
Just about.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Married with babies,
what's that?
married with babies.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. My youngest one just turned 48 the other day. I'm like, oh God, can't stand it. Well, now Cheryl and Lynette are the two that are entering the class. Do you feel as though this was helpful to you? Do you think you're gonna feel confident going into it?
Helpful, yes. Confident, no.
That's good.
I think I'm gonna practice.
You actually should very much practice, and that doesn't have to be with all those opulent flowers. Practice your outline.
Yeah.
Work
Will
on
do.
that. Use whatever you want. Use fake flowers, whatever, just to,
Mhm.
to practice. I actually have collected artificial flowers from yard sales and wherever over the years for practice purposes, with more often for creative design than this, but it helps you, with where you're going to place something, what it might look like in a certain spot and stuff.
Okay.
So if you have artificial flowers around the house, gather them all together and play with them. Or go down and go to the back of the store at Stop and Shop and buy it. They used, we call them used flowers, the ones that they've marked down.
Hmm.
And
Right.
you just
Yeah.
nobody's gonna fault you for that. You're doing it for yourself. But those are the different ways to.
Okay.
I guess the vase, it seems like it would be, for me, it feels like it would be easier for me to have a base that had a foot on it or something that
A
was,
pedestal container. Yeah, I would
Right.
recommend a pedestal type
okay.
container.
I don't know why it feels that way, but it feels like it'd be better without being a bowl or something. It'd be,
Yeah, the bowl is gonna make you struggle with squatty.
okay.
So if you can use something that's got a little pedestal or create your own kind
Okay.
of thing. It's candlesticks are handy. I've got a glass candlestick I'm looking at I'm in my playpen down here. That I just glued a plastic plate to the top of it and put one of those Oasis holder things
Mhm,
in
yeah.
place, So you can, old lamps. Sometimes if it's not too big, might be careful of that. Take an old lamp and you've got that wonderful shape and height, and you find a bowl or something, some way, whatever you have to do to make that into a container. Hang on one second. One of these books has container pictures.
What's the date of the show? The 22nd?
20th, the 20th of July. You'll be in, yeah, that's the entry day, isn't it, Susan?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's gonna be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday instead of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh,
This is-
Because Heritage is having on Friday, they're having some big event where all the galleries and all the exhibits are gonna be open. And they wanted the show to be on that day as well. So that's good for us. So,
So Susan, when picking up the designs on Friday, people are asking us.
yeah, I saw that. And I think Heritage, I need to double check that with Liz Fort from Heritage, who we're meeting with soon. But I think they're probably going to want people to pick them up on Saturday. because the show that night, Friday night, will be open till 7:30 in line with their festival that day. So pickup will be Saturday morning.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Here's a tip on making your own containers that some of you might find helpful. Though the world is full of containers, you may sometimes want to make your own. Tin cans can be disguised not only with paint, but with shellac and a coating of crushed eggshells, perlite, or sand. With decorative bits of glass or stone, a wrapping of flexible bamboo, or mirrored plate. This is for all different types of design. Hardware cloth or metallic air conditioning filters. You can even wind a can with string. You can hammer a nail straight. I can't, she says. Containers may be fashioned from sections of molding, panels, or plywood. The four sides and a bottom fitted together. For feet, use empty spools or coat hooks. 4-pound sheet lead from a plumbing supply house may be cut to size and shape with tin snips. A frame, such as a baking loaf pan, placed in the center, can serve as a guide for bending the edges. I mean, it's just, you just got to get thinking. This is what I need. How do I get it? What can I do to create? Excuse me.
Isn't the main thing though, Dolores, that you need to have a lot of oasis? So
You do, because you're going to have a lot of material.
you got to start there, because that seems like it's going to be a ton of oasis.
Yep.
Hmm.
You can buy the designer blocks, which are a block this big, and shape it to your container. I don't go into the market anymore, but I know my friend Nancy does. So maybe she would offer to purchase. Susan, you do too, don't you?
Yeah, I'm going next week for Flora and Winter, actually.
But how big exactly is the container gonna be if you need that much oasis?
you're gonna
Nice space. Yeah, I think the thing is what we are envisioning is that these will be pretty big designs, because we're going to have the wallpaper hung to probably to the left of the pedestal. The pedestals we're thinking about now are actually ones that Dolores has, which are classic columns with white sort of marble looking columns
no,
with round tops. So
let me
that's
just
the one.
interrupt for a second, Susan. They're not that tall. I think they're only about 30 inches tall.
Those columns. Okay.
Yeah.
But don't you have to fill the space of the wallpaper or?
No, I don't think you have to fill the space by any means, but you're certainly, I would think, don't you think, Dolores, you have to be thinking about that, because the
Well-
piece of wallpaper is going to be pretty big.
Well, I think we need to talk
Go ahead.
about that. Hold on, I just lost my train of thought. The wallpaper, Cheryl, is not going to be in back of your design. It's going to be
Be on the
left
side.
of it.
But don't you have to have the proportions?
The wallpaper is there for the viewing public to see what you were influenced by. Just like, did you do the show this summer?
Art and Bloom.
The Art and Bloom at Heritage?
No,
Or did you see it? Did you go to it or anything?
no.
Oh, okay. Well, beside every design was I can show you here. Hang on.
I'm just trying to decide if it has to be in proportion to that particular piece of wallpaper, like the height.
No, let's forget about that, okay?
So it doesn't
Yeah.
have anything to do with it other than just to be there.
No, the
wallpaper
color and
is
the
there.
feeling.
Right, right.
Definitely. Definitely.
But it has nothing to do with how tall that piece is or anything.
No, but it's still like any design where you're thinking about, your space. You're thinking about the space that your design's in, don't you think, Dolores? I mean,
Yeah. There's a lot to be discussed about staging still. And I'm wondering, Susan, if the wallpaper should be done on something like this and be down like it was for Art and Bloom.
okay, well,
What
We
I'm
can-
concerned about is it overwhelming. Being overwhelmed.
I think if it's far enough back, but we're talking about this with staging now, and I promise you, we are very close. Alda and Judy are, we had to rework a couple of things because of 2 years passing and COVID and all that.
I would
So but
guess-
we are very close.
I
So
would
I'll-
want a container no shorter than 8 inches, 9 inches tall. Take it from there. and-
No shorter than 8 or 9?
I wouldn't go any shorter.
Okay. Okay.
What's that one, Judy? No, that's a good container.
That's what I was saying. It's so shiny. But I just wanted to read to you about my first time at the Boston Flower Show and how they marked me and with my nice HM. Placement of pink plant. It was a what was it? American traditional period. And it said placement of the pink plant material carries the eye throughout the design nicely. Container not appropriate for American traditional period. And so I really got marked down because of the container. So that's how important it was. I learned a great lesson that time.
You never learn anything when you're successful. You learn when you fail.
Yeah. So
True.
that's what
Yeah.
you don't get the right one.
Let me just walk
Okay.
down here to my containers and see if I can show you a couple that I think would work.
That's tall then. The container's got to be 8 to 9 inches?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that one's about 7.
Yeah, that's really big then.
All right. None of these is the right, well, this one, okay. This right here would be a good size. Now, where's my ruler? Here. This is 9.5 inches tall.
Lauren, lift it up, please, in front of your face, right? We just
Yeah.
announced the bottom. Okay.
This part here is a candle
Oh.
holder, big fat candles. This is a plastic dish that has been glued onto it. They were all painted the same color. So it looks exactly like it is a container. And that's, I was talking about a cake pan kind of thing. That will
Mhm.
hold a good hunk of Oasis.
So what, that's like a 9-inch across or something?
Let me see. Just 7.5.
Oh,
That's a good opening. You can get a good piece of wood from there. And you're gonna want to tape your Oasis down too, so it doesn't break apart. Now this container is a very shiny gold. Lynette, I had given you guys this as a possibility for the room, and Kitty Lorenz painted it this very shiny gold. I would not put it in the flower show this color.
Right,
I would tone it way down.
right.
You can rub shoe polish on it. You can, do stuff like that to tone it down. But this is a good choice kind of thing. And this one you would want to make yourself. And because I'm showing them to all of you, I'm not going to lend them to you because I couldn't. You're going to have to make it work. This is a gigantic container, way too big, but perfect in style.
Okay.
Okay. And look at the opening on that one too. And
It's like a plant, it's like a planter.
well, it's an urn, yeah. But this thing is way too big. It's 15 inches tall, which would be too much.
Okay.
So be careful of that. It's good to see what you shouldn't use as well as what you should. This one is about what Judy's got there. But it's only, why do I keep using the wrong end of this? It's only 6 inches tall. It's too small. Only got 5-inch opening.
How big is it, is the space that they're putting them on though? Is it an 18-inch square top, round top?
No, it's a round top. I'm not sure whether they're gonna add another top to it or not, but.
Okay.
Have to
Okay.
see. I can't show you one right now because they're in storage over at my niece's garage, so.
I
But,
think the top of yours, Dolores, I have it written down as 11 and a half inches.
11 and a half,
round.
okay.
Yeah, 11 and a half inches round is what I have written down.
So ladies, I also just Googled Victorian vases and I clicked on images rather than website, and it gives some lovely examples. Some of them are very ornate, so I'm thinking too that what Dolores was just saying, avoid the ones with all of the colors and the prints and the floral bouquets. Keep it pretty not shiny, keep it pretty basic. But there's hundreds of pictures of Victorian vases that give that shape.
Okay.
It would give you a good idea of what you're starting with.
Okay.
You could also, that's kind of modern, Judy.
Is that modern?
I think so. Well, it's more federal, let's put it that way, but
Okay.
yeah, I don't see it as particularly Victorian. Think opulent,
Okay.
okay? I'm a big fan of creating your own too. You get just what you want that way. But if you get lucky, you'll find the actual Victorian real McCoys are not very big. So you're gonna want to be careful about that.
Okay.
So,
But I like your idea, Dolores, of finding the vase, I'm gonna call it a vase, and putting a dish on the top of it that would hold your oasis. And that's a great suggestion. And to practice with supermarket flowers, practice getting the form and using the principles of design. Practice that part right now. And then in a week or so, when we get our schedule or when we get our wallpaper, we'll know what colors we want or whatever. But right now I'd practice with spring flowers. They're out.
yeah, like I said, go to the back of the grocery store where they've got them marked down. You know, if you don't want to spend it, it's, you know, you don't have to be like I was or if still am. When I enter a flower show, I don't care what I spend. I get what I want. I'm really cheap about a lot of other things in my life, but I don't cheap out there. It's my pleasure. It's my hobby. Was my business as well, but that's me. But trying to cheap out sometimes will really screw you up. Be prepared to write the check. Are you crocheting, Judy?
Yes, sorry.
No, that's okay. I knit through all my meetings. I've got it right here. I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but since
I'm
running-
trying to do some stuff for my daughter before the first and
Is she having a baby?
whatever.
A baby?
No, it's for her new home. I was trying to do some pillows for her new couch and all that.
Oh, how nice.
I'm always so busy. I never
Go
get to
ahead
do.
and crochet. I completely approve. I do it all the time.
Right.
But no,
I remember the first time I saw someone knitting at a meeting. This was years ago. It was a judges council meeting, actually. Jenna Toma, you know Jenna, don't you?
I thought you were gonna say Ginatoma,
Yeah.
because that was my first time.
Yeah, and I thought, oh wow, what a good idea.
And she amazing. She'd make these little kid sweaters that were so intricate, like Norwegian.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, she's a great knitter.
Unbelievable.
We've started a little knitting group through our garden club member. Cheryl's in it too.
Fun.
And we had a Zoom meeting the other day, and we have got a couple of really fantastic knitters. This Andy
The
Hurwitz.
thing is, if you make the clothes, your kids don't want to put them on their kids. They're like, oh, nice. You know, if you do, they don't really get into that anymore,
Make
you
it
know,
for
making
yourself.
your own sweaters, you know.
Make your
It's
own.
no, you know.
Knit for yourself, and knit for someone who's gonna wear
Yeah.
it or use it, or knit for charity.
Oh,
There's a-
yeah.
I don't know
we
how many
did
of you are
last
familiar
year in
with the
the-
Riverway Restaurant in Yarmouth. It used to be, and it's now
Yeah.
run by, is it, it's a charity-based thing anyway. And they have a little online shop of things that they sell that I think little businesses, and we're gonna start donating some of our knitting
Oh,
things.
that's neat.
They do the hats here in Wareham for the babies, the infants.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
So they send
Yeah.
them home with those at the knitting club. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of people knit hats for whatever reason. I think that there's a lot of that out there. So we're gonna try to do some other things too that might be more interesting. You know, I knitted a
Oh.
capelet for my daughter-in-law for Christmas. And it was done with yarn. This was a recommended yarn, was from Michael's. And I usually try to get
Really?
good yarn. Michael's yarn, thick yarn. I was looking for something about this pattern. It's from the Outlander series. There was one for
Yeah.
sale on Etsy with the same yarn for $175.
Wow.
It didn't
Yeah.
cost me $8 for the whole thing. I mean, just, but cute little different things that would bring in a little bit more money for them, you know. Anyway.
So can I ask you a couple of questions on this today?
Of course you can.
Okay, so when you say the Williamsburg versus the Victorian, you're saying the fan shape is in both of those
No,
periods? No?
no, the fan shape, a very distinct fan shape is Williamsburg. That's the key
So
characteristic.
we're saying triangular.
No triangles
No,
in Williamsburg.
globular or circular in form. Globe or
We're talking
circular.
Victorian now.
And that's the Victorian.
Yep. And also the abundance of materials, like Nancy read off, they didn't enjoy the beauty of a single flower. They were all just lots of stuff in there. But there's a technique to that. Don't overdo it. Grab the essence of the period, don't copy it. Well, I wish you all luck, you two ladies who are entering luck. And I'm going to be very proud of you. I'm sorry you're competing against one another. And
I know.
you three, I mean, Susan's in the class too, all of you. So
I'm not.
watch out for these newbies, Susan. Watch
Oh,
out.
yeah?
For them. Yeah. Yep, they creep up on you. Yeah,
I know.
yeah, they're both doing very well and a lot of enthusiasm.
That's what we hope for.
Yep.
That
yeah.
was really a blessing when I went up against Christine Deacus and I said, oh no. forget
Yeah,
it."
that's a
And-
tough one.
And I won. And I was like, oh.
It's
that was
really
a
great to knock off one of the big ones, isn't it? You know?
That happened to me once with Helen Goddard. Did you ever know her?
I did
Dolores?
know her, yeah,
No.
yeah.
Oh, man, I'll never forget it as long as I live. Getting a blue ribbon
It's
about
just the
Helen Goddard.
feeling, yeah, I know. And Shirley
You
mine,
don't win a lot of blue ribbons. in your
Shirley hit me and I was like, come on, Shirley. It's fun.
I think I called everyone in my family. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. That happened to me up at the Topsfield Fair, which is one of the places I first entered. And I used to always enter mass designs, and I was always against Georgia McHugh. If you knew Georgia
Oh,
McHugh, you know
yeah,
she was the
yeah.
icon of beautiful design, and particularly in mass design, a friend of mine. And I didn't get the blue ribbon, but I was watching her the whole time, always watching her. What she
Oh, that's what
doing
you
over there,
do.
what she's doing that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
And then that one
That's how
day
you
came
learn.
and I beat her. I know the feeling. So
Yeah.
Yay.
don't underestimate your newbies.
No, don't. We're
Never
always
ever.
looking, right?
Sometimes they're working way harder than you are.
Well, that's
Get it
Nancy and
right.
I. We're
Yeah.
always working, right, Nancy?
I am. I'm
Always
always
trying to
thinking.
absorb.
And you know what, Judy? Showing us that white ribbon really makes me proud of you. That
Oh.
was such a good,
was
no,
great.
that was a good point. I mean,
Well, you know who won? Marisa. She was right side of me and she
Oh,
goes,
well, I've been up
"Dude,
against her.
you
Oh,
know, there's something wrong. Now, Jude, what is it?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And she knew
Mhm.
what I did wrong. I did a swan boat and you don't
Yeah.
do that. It was a huge lesson. It was, remember that, Nancy? I did
Yeah,
that in the bathroom of the hotel.
I've done that. Yeah.
we've all had some stories, particularly in the days when, you know, you stayed in Boston and you would get
Yeah.
in the hotel and you'd have
Bayside
you know,
Expo
pajama
Center.
parties. Yeah.
Fun,
Or-
fun,
or-
fun.
Hey, you know, Susan, the 2 years or 3 years ago, when the tent failed on my educational design, remember that, Dolores? I was like washed out. It
Yeah.
rained, the heavens opened and the tent fell on it. And I'm like, oh no. And so Yvonne came over and stuck everything in and said, "It's okay. Everybody gets an HM." I didn't get an HM though. That was pretty good.
Good.
Things happen.
This world is not just about arranging flowers. It's about these
Right.
friendships and about these adventures you have, that some that are happy endings and some that aren't.
That or not.
I've been
Right.
straightening out my little workshop in there, and I've got millions of ribbons from over the years. You know, I never throw them away. Don't ask me why. But there's a lot of white ones in there.
That's what Christine told me. She goes, "You got to use the white before you get to the blue."
Yep. The worst
Right.
thing that can happen to you is to get a blue your first time out. Then you think, oh boy, am I good? You're just waiting for that hammer to come in and knock you
I
down.
know.
Yeah.
It's so
So-
true.
My advice after all these years is enjoy it, continue to enjoy it, continue to be humble, continue to learn from your mistakes, take your classes. Nancy Costa is doing a fabulous job in our garden club with little things that she's doing for design, and she's just very enthusiastic, and she's got some great followers out there. I invited Susan O'Leary to come today, but she couldn't make it. So this is being recorded, so for those who are interested, so they don't need all these stories too, I guess, but they're welcome to have it. So I'm going to sign off and
Okay,
wish you
all right.
guys
Thank
luck.
you,
You're gonna
Dolores.
send us the book? Are you gonna send us the book or should we order it?
I ordered one. I went on the National Garden Club and ordered
Did you
one, a
find
little
it?
pamphlet.
Good.
Yeah, they'll pay.
I did, it was like $5.83.
Yeah,
That was
plus
including
$5 to
shipping.
ship it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was including shipping, so
Oh, it was
Okay.
included shipping?
$5.83.
Oh,
Wow, do it. Yes.
oh,
I
that's
guess
all it was.
we
I
can
thought it was
afford that.
another $5. Oh God, just order it from there.
Oh, I
That's-
don't think so. I don't know. I haven't gotten the confirmation yet, but I don't think so.
Dolores, are you going to send the slideshow?
I will.
Okay.
I'll send it to you guys. And,
that'd be
Thank
great.
you.
Thanks,
Dolores,
Thank you.
be in
I-
touch.
Bye.
I could
Bye.
scan this and send it to you, Dolores. The
What's that?
pages from the pamphlet, the outlines,
I have a book.
but then we could send it out to them too, so that they have it.
Well,
Right.
sure, go ahead and do that if you want. Yeah.
I mean,
Anything
it,
that helps. But
yeah, I
you know.
think you don't want to wait until a month from now to look at it. But anyway, I can do that. I'll send it out to everybody that was here.
All right, that's very nice of you, Nancy.
Okay, you don't need to worry about that. I got that covered, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right,
very much.
Doris, thank you. That was great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye
Thank
now.
you. Help, you let me know, okay?
Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.